Hi again, everyone. This is Tom Abrams, and today I'm talking with David Brown from Atria Books. He is the genius behind the Twitter handle Atria Mystery Bus. David, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me on.
So tell me what it is you do in terms of promoting books.
I do publicity for Atria Books, which is an imprint of Simon & Schuster, and basically, I guess the easiest way to explain my job is to get the authors that I work with and the books that I work on coverage, whether it be reviewed in newspapers, online, interviews, radio, TV, podcasts, just to let the public know about these books and give them the information that they need to hopefully like it and buy it.
And how did you get into this line of work? It was not exactly the path that you originally set out on. Is that right?
Yeah. I told you about that. I was working in advertising. First of all, I thought I went to school. I thought I was going to be like a morning radio host or a sportscaster, because that's a really easy job to get. I say that sarcastically, of course.
Yes, got that.
And I also thought I would want to do it in New York, of course, because that's where I was from. Little did I know, or I probably knew on some level, that those jobs in New York don't come by so easily. And I wasn't motivated enough to start in like a small town. I didn't want to leave my family and friends. So I started in advertising, and I thought, okay, this should be fun. I'll make jingles and make funny advertising. But I was in the media planning department. I didn't understand what advertising was. I thought it was just jingles and being clever. But it was the media planning, and it was a lot of math and spreadsheets, and I wasn't any good at it. I didn't like it. They knew I wasn't any good at it. They knew I didn't like it. They said, "We like you a lot, so stay long enough to find a new job, but this isn't for you," which was a really nice thing in retrospect for them to have done. So I looked for a different job. I wanted to do something that was connected to media, and I thought being in publicity where I would talk to TV producers or radio producers would be a good in. So I tried it, and that's probably over 20 years ago now. So it worked.
That's good. And tell me about Atria Books. Some of the authors that you work with, and the types of books that you promote.
I work mostly on mysteries and thrillers. People like Vince Flynn, Brad Thor, Jack Carr. Mysteries like William Kent Kruger. I just did a book with Stephen Hunter.
I see it right there.
Yep. I also, I'm not limited to that. Sometimes I do nonfiction. I've been on a run of sports books recently. I did Bill Cowher, who's the Hall of Fame coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers and is now on CBS Sports. Kirk Herbstreit, who is the face of college football on ESPN. Scottie Pippen I did in the fall. And I just did a book about the 90s Knicks by a Sports Illustrated writer named Chris Herring.
And what I see it right there in the upper left. And tell me what your favorite, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, your favorite campaign so far in terms of creativity, in terms of the way people responded to it. Do you have one?
It's so tough to point to one. So I'm just going to think of the first one that came to mind is specifically the Mitch Rapp ambassador program. So Mitch Rapp is the character in Vince Flynn's created book. So Vince Flynn created a series of books, around a character named Mitch Rapp. And sadly, Vince Flynn, in the prime of his career, the prime of his life, he was 44, passed away of cancer, prostate cancer. Very young to get prostate cancer. It was very advanced when they found it. Passed away at 44. That was about 8-9 years ago. They found a writer to take over the series. The family and Vince's agent and Atria, Emily Bessler, the editor of the series, found Kyle Mills to take over the project. And the first book that Kyle Mills wrote was The Survivor. When the manuscript came in for The Survivor, I was very nervous to read it because this is the first book about Mitch Rapp that Vince Flynn didn't write. I was scared that it wouldn't be close to as good. I was scared that it was going to be very different. It wouldn't seem the same. But as I was reading it, I was stunned, and I was almost I felt guilty liking it so much. I thought it was terrific. It was a really good Mitch Rapp book. If you told me Vince Flynn wrote it, I would have believed you. So I didn't want to be the one to tell the legions and legions of fans this, because I'm a publicist. That's my job, is to say good things. So it was genuine, but coming from me, I don't know whether it would have come off that way. I had a vested interest in making it work. So I conceived of a plan, the Mitch Rapp Ambassador Program, where we found, I think that year, about 300, 400 of the biggest Mitch Rapp fans. We vetted them through vinceflynn.com. We found out if they've read all the books, how they feel about it, etc., and sent them an early copy of the book so they can read it and hopefully feel the way I felt, and then tell their fellow fans that it is quote unquote safe to go back in the water. This is a Mitch Rapp book. This is a Vince Flynn book. You will love it. And thankfully, the fans read it the same way that I did, were amazed and loved it, and spread the word for us. So they were essentially Vince's voice that Vince no longer had.
Tell me about the Atria Mystery Bus Twitter feed, how you came up with the name, and sort of the aesthetic that you went for.
Well, we are coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the actual Atria Mystery Bus Tour. We did a mystery bus tour. We had a bus that we put 4 authors on: William Kent Kruger, John Connolly, Liza Markland, who is a Scandinavian writer, and MJ Rose, who was a romance mystery writer. We put them on a bus for a cross-country book tour where they stopped at mystery bookstores around the country. So there was an actual Atria mystery bus, and we created the Twitter feed to track the bus back on that tour in April of 2012. After the tour, the feed kind of went dormant until a book came along called I Am Pilgrim, which was a fantastic thriller, one of the, I would say, greatest thrillers written of all time, by this man named Terry Hayes, an Australian gentleman who wrote some of the Mad Max movies, wrote Deep Calm, the Nicole Kidman movie. Deep Calm, is that the movie?
Dead Calm.
Dead Calm.
Right.
Dead Calm.
And that's actually how I met you, was the Terry Hayes campaign.
That is right. That is when we first met. Wow, we're coming up on a 8-year anniversary. So when that book came out, I was so into that book and thought it was, and still think it was, one of the greatest thrillers written of all time. And I did not feel that my colleagues who ran the Atria Books Twitter account was giving it enough attention. Now, the Atria Books Twitter account, in fairness to them, they have to cover every single genre that Atria Books does, romance, self-help. So they can't focus on one genre, and they can't give so much attention to one book. But I wanted that book to get all that attention, so I just found the password of the old Atria Mystery Bus Twitter handle and started tweeting about I Am Pilgrim, and then it quickly grew into a Twitter handle that covers all of our mystery, thriller, and suspense.
And you've gotten a pretty big following, and people seem to really like when you do, I guess, unboxings or special contests on that Twitter feed.
Yeah, we did live unboxings back in the days when we used to work in the office. Since the pandemic, we haven't done many live unboxings because in the office we used to get a box of every book that comes in. I don't get them to my home because it would just be too cluttered if we did. So I don't do the live unboxings as much anymore, maybe on special occasions. But I've tried to find other content like the Roomba Rodeo, where we put 2 books on a Roomba and we have to bet on which book stays on longest. That's a very popular piece of content that we have on the Atria Mystery Bus Twitter feed. We also play a game show, Let's Book a Deal, which is like Let's Make a Deal, except the prizes are book related. And I try to do t-shirt reviews where I ask bookstores and podcasts to send me their promotional t-shirts and I'll review them. I've given, the first one I did was a bad review, or not what was it? B- maybe, which is not terrible. But ever since then, they don't really send t-shirts anymore. So I guess
because you were honest.
Because I was honest, I probably should have given the first one an A and lured everyone into a false sense of security. So I don't do many t-shirt reviews.
Well, tell me how promoting books and your job in general has changed during the pandemic. I know a lot of people have altered their workflow based on the fact that they're at home a lot of the time. And I think you told me you haven't been back to the office and it's coming up on 2 years.
Yeah. I'm a work from home guy now, and it's changed the way I work, just in terms of work. I work different hours now.
Have you had to get creative with the way that since you don't have the unboxing, since you're not in the office?
Well, since I don't have the unboxings, I thought I should create more different types of content to entertain people in between promotional tweets about books. You like to entertain people, so they have a reason to be there. It's not just, I don't want to just advertise to people. So I would want to come up with other content, and that's where I came up with the other stuff I discussed before. I work differently. I work when I'm most when I feel most motivated. If I'm not feeling it, I don't have to do stuff. When you're in the office, you're locked in there for 8 hours, and you have to, whether you're not,
whether you're there or not.
You're there, so you have to work. But now, if inspiration hits at 10 o'clock at night, I do some stuff. And if at noon I'm feeling starving and I want to go take a long lunch, I do it, and I don't feel bad about it because I know that perhaps at 9 o'clock at night I'll be doing stuff. So I give the time back. But how the pandemic has changed book publicity. First of all, bookstore appearances are few and far between now. Hopefully, they're going to come back soon, because we haven't really figured out a virtual event solution that kind of has the same impact as an in-store book event. You just can't replicate that virtually. And at the beginning of the pandemic, it was new, so people would come. Now, but even the past year, as we learn more about what we can handle in terms of going out in public, being outside, people don't have to be locked inside and on their computers, and they don't want to be. So the last thing a lot of people want to do is go from a Zoom conference call for work and then on a Zoom book event. So that at least will make bookstores happy, that I don't think in-store events will ever go away, and hopefully they come back soon. Also, it's helped get publicity because a lot of TV networks and stations, locally, nationally, like yourselves, they're more open now to doing virtual interviews. My authors don't have to be in their cities to do interviews, which really opens up a lot of possibilities, good possibilities for the authors and for the TV shows, I think, because they get guests that they ordinarily wouldn't get because we can't send people everywhere.
Sure. So tell me what books are coming out I know springtime is a big time for books. What's coming out soon that you're really excited about, either from established authors or from new authors people might never have heard of?
Okay. I'll do the series authors that are coming out. We have the new Jack Carr book, In the Blood. This is the 5th in his series. Jack Carr is a former Navy SEAL. He writes about a former Navy SEAL. That book comes out in May. There's a TV show based on his first book, The Terminal List. that is coming on Amazon Prime later this year. Chris Pratt is starring in it. He's producing it. So, In the Blood by Jack Carr. The next Brad Thor book, he writes the Scott Horvath series, Rising Tiger, comes out in July. In September, the new Mitch book, written by Kyle Mills, created by Vince Flynn, Oath of Loyalty. That comes out in September, and the cover was just revealed in the vinceflynn.com newsletter today. And William Kent Krueger has a new book coming out in August, Fox Creek. Chris Haughey, who writes a great series. His first book, Deep State, one of the greatest twists of all time. His new one is coming out in May. That one is called Storm Rising. And then a man named Adam Hamdy has written a book that we have coming out in September. It's called The Other Side of Night, which broke my brain.
How so?
This is, it's funny. It is so hard to talk about without giving spoilers. I'm trying to figure out ways to describe this. So I'm gonna try something with you. Okay.
Okay.
So there are times where you get a twist. Okay, where you get a twist and you're like this. You're like this. All right.
Okay.
That's one type of
Right.
twist. Okay. What happens in this book? You do this. You do.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, it just changes the entire experience of what you've just been through and what you're about to go through.
Wow. And the name of the author.
The name of the book. The name of the author is Adam Hamdy. The name
Okay.
of the book is Other Side of Night. It is part crime story, part love story, and part something I don't know how to describe.
Sure. And that comes out when?
End of September.
Okay. So Jack Carr, William Kent Krueger, Brad Thor, Chris Haughey, and Adam Hamdy. Those are I think what 5 books that you're recommending people pick up.
Plus the Vince Flynn Kyle Mills.
Oh, and the Vince Flynn Kyle Mills book.
Yeah.
All right. And what do you do in terms of reading? Do you read early manuscripts? Do you read arcs? Where do you come in the process when you're talking about a way to promote a book?
I read the manuscript. Well, I read what eventually becomes an arc. So I read the version of the manuscript that will be turned into the arc. So I read it before it's an arc, but after it's a manuscript and after it's been edited and copy edited.
Okay. And then is that when you come up, do you discuss with the author, hey, this is how we're thinking of promoting it? I know some of your authors, for example, Jack Carr is very into the way he promotes his work.
So the author a year people, it's really a 12-month out of the year job. So we're talking about how we're promoting the current book, the past books, and the future books all year round. So that process never really ends. A book like, let's say, Adam Hamdy, for example, which is the first book we're doing with him. It's not a series. When did I read that? I read that over Thanksgiving, maybe. Started talking to him late in the year, and we're about to announce the book next week officially. So that's when the planning will start in earnest.
Wow. So it's after he's gone through, or she in some cases have gone through the initial developmental edit phase, then the copy edit phase, then you get a look at it.
Yeah.
And then you all decide this is what we're thinking of doing. Then it becomes an arc. It gets sent out, announced and sent out, and then months later it becomes a book for everybody to read.
That's right. And in those months in between, I'm pitching it. I'm talking it up. I'm telling people about it. I'm whispering to bookstores, to journalists, to regular civilians on Twitter, getting the word out, making sure people know it's coming, and excited about it, getting them excited about it.
And is there anything else you think you want to share with people? Any books we didn't talk about? Anything you'd like to say to the people watching this about where the book industry is and where it's headed?
I will say, if you like a book, the best thing you can do is tell the author on social media. Gosh, it makes them feel so good. These authors, a lot of them, they spend 8 months out of the year by themselves writing this thing. It takes all that time and blood, sweat, and tears to write it. People read it like that. Some of them you can read it in one sitting because they're that good, and then they want more. But the author just poured their life into that one. Tell them you like it. Review it on Amazon too, on bnn.com, on Goodreads. But tell them on social media, and that is it's like heaven to an author to get a reader compliment.
Well, that's great. Well, David, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Always great talking to you and seeing you. And
Yeah, it's good to see
hopefully,
you. I hope we get to be together at a real life event this year.
yeah, I know it's been I think since Boucher Con in 2019.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. So
Mhm.
good. Well, thanks, David. I appreciate it. And you can always check out what David is talking about at Atria Mystery Bus on Twitter. Any other social media handles or anything you want to share with people?
No, I'm a
All right.
one social media guy.
Atria Mystery Bus. That's David Brown. Thanks, David.
All right, thank you.